our Matchmaker session today. My name is Hannah Algersma, and I am the project coordinator of CityLab. Matchmaker events are where we learn more about the projects that have been submitted by staff members, and we work with our faculty members to try and find good student, faculty, and staff partnerships to tackle these projects. Today, we are joined by Rob Richards, and who's the project manager of outreach and education, and Lugene Donaldson, the senior project manager. The project brought forth today is to understand how residents of the city of Hamilton want to be communicated with about water, wastewater, and stormwater management. So first, we'll just hear a little bit from these two about their role at the city and how that work impacts Hamiltonians.
Sure, I'll go first. So the outreach and education team is within the Hamilton Water Division, a part of the Public Works Department. Our team really focuses on communicating messages, building awareness, and gaining or providing a greater understanding of how the water, wastewater, and stormwater systems in the city of Hamilton work and how they have an impact on residents where we live, in their home, and our environment. So the team does focus on industrial, commercial, and institutional customers, on residential customers. We have a youth portfolio that goes into schools and does presentations. We hold a very large children's water festival each year. That's all within our team. We communicate kind of behavioral change messages on how to manage those systems within and what you can do to manage our systems and help make them better and help make them last longer. And then we also have we support our operational needs. So if there's a situation in the community that, is a unique situation, or we need to communicate something, we work with our partners in corporate communication to deliver those messages, provide supplementary information, and our team acts as the conduit there to providing that information. There's also the operational needs within the community in programs like our Lead Awareness campaign, where we want residents to ensure that their private water service lines are upgraded and remove lead service lines. So we communicate that to residents. There's health impacts. And we've been doing that for a number of years and trying to educate residents about the health impacts, but also the ways in which they can change out their service line. So we cover quite a gamut of information, a number of different audiences, but really the long and short of our team is that we're here to build awareness and be the conduit between the day-to-day operations and the overall greater awareness of what Hamilton Water does.
Yeah, also Lugene, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think looking at the city as a whole, we provide a ton of different services to our residents, but if you look at it kind of holistically, water is the most important service that's provided by the city of Hamilton, whether it's, providing clean tap water, whether it's, providing wastewater collection, stormwater management. It's one of the services that, everyone uses every single day. And it's one of the services that, people generally take for granted until something goes wrong. So that's kind of what makes our job so important. Communicating with our residents, if something happens, if our drinking water, has to be shut off for a period of time, or, there's flooding risk, things of that nature. It's super important that we get our messaging out to our community in the right method and at the right time as well.
Yeah, I absolutely hear that. I think it is something we take for granted. We are so lucky to have constant access to water that we don't even think about the possibility that we might not. Mm-hmm. Just to build off of what you said there, Lugene, I'm curious, just if you don't mind expanding on the current channels of communication that are being used. You mentioned the lead awareness. as one of the examples, which I was going to ask of your what you communicate, but then how you communicate those things currently.
Sure. We do use a wide variety of methods to communicate with residents. Letters are one of those, especially when it's very impactful and direct to certain residents. We typically lean into the letters to residents. We also use social media through our corporate channels. We'll purchase space on very specific targeted neighborhoods. If there's something going on in a neighborhood, we'll purchase space on social media to have our message distributed in those areas. We do print advertising, website. We have in the past done some radio ads, some TV ads. And again, that's typically around the behavioral change campaigns that we've run in the past. Around bathroom behaviors and kitchen behaviors and what to put down the sink and what not to put down the sink as part of like a greater campaign. So we use kind of a little bit of everything. Sometimes we use them in tandem, sometimes they're independent, depending on the message. So the piece that we're looking to get answered is, what is the best method? And does it matter the message that we're trying to get across? Does the medium we use matter? So if we need residents to take action right away, is the direct letter most appropriate, or is kind of a broader social media or targeted social media a better way of communicating? And how do residents want to hear our message?
Yeah, I think that's quite clear. Building off of that, do you mind just guiding us through the challenge, and maybe any relevant background information or the objectives you're specifically looking for? And I think you really started that right there in what you were saying.
Yeah, so the objective is just to get the message across, whatever that message is, to have residents hear what we're saying. I think one of the pieces, and Rob kind of alluded to that, is that you don't even know what you don't know until it's not there. So you might not necessarily know how our wastewater collection system works until there's a problem, or again, the water, your drinking water, until it needs to be shut off for maintenance or something like that. So it's kind of building that base level of awareness, and how does that message come across when there's a gamut of other information kind of coming at residents. So building the base level and then getting into the more specific messages that we need to get across. So using lead as the example, one of the things that we've been mailing out to residents for a number of years now. Some residents have taken action, some have not. And that's their discretion, but it's making sure that they're hearing the message and that they're getting especially when it comes to safety and health concerns, that they're hearing that message, and ensuring, I think one of the pieces we're missing is that check and balance to make sure that they are actually hearing the message and understand what we're saying.
And I imagine with communications, that's not always clear how many people are actually being reached by the communications methods. So that's an interesting point. So is there specific inspiration that brought forth this project at this time, or just there was space and this has been something you've been wanting to do for some time? Or
yeah, it's just, it's kind of, we were looking at what we've been doing and just thought maybe this is a chance to open our eyes to new opportunities. We're always looking for continuous improvement in the way we do things. So let's, take advantage of the fact that there is a program like City Labs is offering that can help us kind of get there. Like I said, we're always kind of looking for new ways of doing business, and if there's something that we can learn, then we want to learn it. Yeah, I don't know, Rob, if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think the other consideration too is that, we are a municipality, we are publicly funded. We're funded through the rates that we bring in. And so most often, we'll try to kind of pick the best method of communication that we see fit. Sometimes we go with a shotgun approach. Maybe it's, sending a letter out, maybe it's a social media campaign, maybe it's, print advertising, advertising. So, our responsibility as, the municipal government is to make sure that, our residents are getting the best bang so we don't want to be, certainly wasting any money. So if there's, an effective means of communication, that's kind of where we should be going.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And so I see that the deliverables, what you're looking for is partially primary and partially secondary research. So some of that can be discovered, I think, through the research, the secondary research, looking at what other cities are doing and what's working. But as for primary research, is there any specific hopes you have for what that would look like? Community engagement, surveys, anything like that?
Yeah, you know what, not having kind of the full awareness of what the reach is of some of these programs. Yeah. Of course, having specific Hamilton examples and Hamilton research, Hamilton survey results would be fantastic, if that's a possibility. But we understand there are limits as well to a program like this. So really, it's that baseline research portion of understanding how do people want to receive a message, especially in today's day and age where we've, kind of moved from the pre-COVID world to the COVID world to the post-COVID world. Is the way we did things 5 years ago still relevant, or have we adapted and changed in a way that that we now need to adapt again and readjust how we're communicating? And are there new things that have been created, like this meeting alone, having a Zoom meeting that's recorded? Is there a new way of doing business that has come out of the pandemic? And of course, we've identified quite a few of those, but is there something that we haven't touched on or that's working in a way that we haven't utilized yet? So again, when we go back to deliverables, it's really having that understanding and that research for us to go back to and say, we're going to try this because this is what the research shows us will work. If we are able to do that primary research and then take that broader research and scale it to a Hamilton set of data, then we would definitely love to take that. But we know that there may not be that ability to do both. Yeah,
I definitely think it's possible. And sometimes we also have multiple semester. So we might have the first phase is creating the survey and doing some of the initial research. And then the second phase could be actually executing on it and analyzing. And so we'll see what we can find for this particular project. But there's lots of options out there.
Sorry, Hannah, just one thing I wanted to add. So kind of from our end, when we are running programs, for example, our rain barrel sale just concluded. So this is a program where we contract a third-party company. They offer rain barrels at a certain price. Then we kind of promote that sale. Residents can then buy rain barrels at a discounted price through that program. So in certain programs like that, we do conduct a little bit of research on our end, just in terms of kind of post-purchase surveys. So we do have a little bit of background knowledge on kind of how people are hearing about these programs. And I think certainly through a project like this, that's something that we could leverage for future programs through this program.
I absolutely agree. And I was going to ask if there's anything specific you're hoping that is on the horizon to communicate out in the next couple of months. Like, do you have specific projects that you will be continuing to stay in touch with community about, or like new projects coming?
Yeah, so there's always a message, and always quite a bit on the horizon. Again, we're constantly looking to build that awareness around the water and wastewater systems. So it's just that baseline as well. that is there. We are looking to start a campaign specifically around stormwater facilities, their maintenance, operational needs, but then also the baseline, how they function, why they're important to the city, why they're important to the environment, what their benefits are, and educating residents again about that baseline of why they exist and why they're important to our system. So that's coming down the pipe. And then there's things that are just continual, the operational needs. When there's flushing programs going on within the water system, if we have hydrant painting, we have lead awareness is a majority of the year because there are still a number of older homes in the city. We continue that for the majority of the year. So there's quite a few things that are on the horizon, but in terms of fuller scale, kind of where do we like newer projects, I would say around the stormwater education is our biggest one. We have, and then project specific messages like the Chinook Creek remediation, keeping the community aware of what's going on, being transparent about the activities that are going on around that project. That's something that's on our horizon, as well as the watershed action plan is coming up through our watershed management group, and our team supports that with some story maps and different tools that we use on our website as well to educate people about what's going on with that program.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I don't know if this is the case, but to add to what you had previously said, Rob, about the surveys that you take after, do you have any other potential data that the students could work from of where you see uptake of some of your communications and advertisements, or how many people have attended certain events or certain things that you've promoted or communicated about?
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything. Maybe Lugene would have a better idea. For me, the main one is it's generally through SurveyMonkey, where someone will be provided a link. I don't know, Lugene, did you have any thoughts on that?
You mentioned just like number of attendees at events, Hannah, like we have those numbers. But yeah, it's again, it's hard unless we're asking someone to take action. We do have some survey results before our FOG campaign, the Fats, Oils, and Grease campaign, and our 3P Own Your Throne campaign. We did surveys before and after those campaigns, so we have results there that show what the impact was of those campaigns. So we can definitely share that information, but those are very campaign specific and not necessarily those operational specific pieces. But we could look to some of our like, again, back to the lead awareness, we could go back to that and say, over this many years, this many people have upgraded their service line because they've received this message, or we've got these calls or whatever. We could pull some of that information.
And to add on to that, Lugene, it's kind of a tough spot as well, because you're giving someone a call to action, they're doing that action, and they're filling out a survey. Those are the people that are engaged. But I think that kind of the missing portion is how are we reaching those people that aren't necessarily as engaged?
I hear that. It's always tricky. And I think that's a great question, a research question for the students to work off of. Is there anything else either of you would like to add about this project?
I think one of the other pieces, sorry, just as we talk about research results, I know that the city, and I think Hannah, maybe from your team, they undertook the Our People survey, which was the greater survey of the entire city and the awareness of different programs that the city offers. I know we're kind of trying to go hone in on our world, specifically in the Hamilton water world, but there might be some results from that survey. I know I found it interesting to go through there, because they do touch on this message of how do you want to be communicated with. I think for us, what we're looking for is a bit more on the specific impacts to water, wastewater, and stormwater, and that general information.
Mhm.
But I found that really helpful to just get an understanding. I think one of the things that they identified in their report was that it was through the phone surveys that they had some challenges there with people answering and finishing the survey, but it is more data that can be looked at from a research perspective. So it's
Mhm.
definitely a valuable tool there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to share this information and to see where it goes. And I appreciate both of your times. Thank you for being here and for sharing this project with City Lab and with whichever students take it on.
Thanks, Anna.
Anna, thank you.